Welcome everybody to this week, and let me tell you what a week it has been. It is fantastic to be back here again, once again, for a live stream. We're going to have some fun this afternoon. We got a bunch of news stories. We got lots to talk about, everything from stocks to crypto to whatever you guys want to talk about. So that's what we got going on today. So it's going to be pretty darn cool. All right. So to get started, we'll get Blossom out of the way right away. So those of you who do not know about Blossom, Blossom is that social media app that is designed for investors. There is a link down below. You can find myself as well as most of the Canadian financial YouTubers over there as well. 100,000 investors. That's right, 100,000 investors. There's a ton of people over there. Fantastic place to go. Of course, another fantastic place outside of Blossom is our Discord. Our Discord is just absolutely firing off. There is so much stuff going on there. I made the mistake of putting the notifications on my watch, so my arm is getting buzzed like crazy because of all of the action over there on the Discord. That as well is linked down below. So definitely check into the Discord. That's also a great place too if you want to see the pool, because we got another deep dive coming up this week. I just put the vote up on the community tab, so you guys can go over there and vote. Last week we did Bell, and tell you, I liked it. Now, I will say, I did use a slightly different format this time around. Normally, I do a little bit on the history, and then we get into Bell. But this time, I was just like, nah, we're getting straight in. We went right in. We dove into the deep end immediately. I'm going to probably do the same thing this week. We're going to look at sort of shaking it up that way a little bit. And I will say, this Bell has been doing better than normal deep dive at this stage. So it seems to have worked with Bell. We're going to try it again. We'll see depends on what you guys get me to do. I can't wait to see. Now, there's a whole banana bread bunch of you guys down there in the chat. Let's take a look. Jonathan was in first with an "Am I late?" Yes, Jonathan, you are late to last week's live stream, but you made it to this one. So that's pretty darn cool. Prairie is in the house. Pass the banana bread. I made an attempt. We got Lisa in here with a good old hello. Vic is here. Here we go. Hopefully, Vic, you're not driving this time. And Vic also added, instead of smokes, I use the money to buy BCE, ServiceNow, Extra Cheap, AVGO, VersaBank, Marvell. There we go. Much better returns than lung cancer, right? Good Vibes is in the house with a good old hi. Vic says, a share or two here and there. More banana bread coming from 9. So there you go, Prairie. A lot of banana bread being passed around here today. Paul is in the house with a hi. And we got Mary in here as well with a hi. And John Locke is in here saying, happy Sunday. Awesome to see you, John. Awesome to see all of you. And of course, a huge thank you to those of you who watch this from home, because I'll tell you, probably about 75% of my total viewership is on the replay, and that's pretty darn awesome. So a huge shout out to you guys as well. And those of you on the replay, if you want an on-air shout out, let me know in the comments. I can do it the following week. I do not mind. So, we'll do that going forward. If you want a shout out and you're on the replay, throw it in the comments. I'll do it. No problem. All right. Bismarcky's in the house with a happy Sunday all. And we've got a Jay Borg in here saying hello, and hello to you as well, Jay. All right. Whew. We definitely have a lot. We definitely have a lot of folks in here already. I love it. Love me the banana bread. All right. Normally I talk about what's coming up next week much later in the show, but I will kick it off right now and just say we're doing something a little different on Tuesday's video. I got a comment, somebody saying, "Hey, can you do a I want to get paid with dividends every week video?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Sure," and I went away from that comment saying, "Okay, is that really even feasible? Can you really do that?" Well, after thinking about it, I found a way, and we're going to look at that on the Tuesday video. Those of you who are channel members, though, you'll be able to see that tomorrow afternoon. So that's one of the huge advantages to being channel members. Also, on the channel member front, those of you who are channel members will get that extra video, that extra live stream this week on Thursday night. And there's some voting going on the community on the community tab for channel members, so they're the only ones who can see it. But right now, it looks like we're going to be talking about what to do at all-time high. We're going to talk about DCAing. We're going to be talking about reverse DCAing. This is going to be cool. I'm really, really looking forward to this. All right, Prairie's got a huge thank you for all that banana bread. Enid is here. Good afternoon, everyone. I knew Enid would be here. My phone said she was talking about CNR and CNQ, so I knew she was somewhere in the area. Paul says, "A Ducky the Conor is watching." Oh, nice, nice. Ducky. It's like, it's like a parrot or a parrot-like bird. Terry says, "How's it going, peeps?" Vic throws in, "I'm also saving money by not going on Tinder dates." That will do it. That will do it. Absolutely. Enid says, "I love our Discord. So much information. Wish I'd have the time to read every post." They move pretty fast. The way it is in Discord is, don't worry about the old posts. They're all there, but you don't really need to. Just jump into the fray and talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about there. The only real rules over on Discord is respectful. Be respectful. So don't swear and or don't don't do things that that you wouldn't want to tell your mom you do. That type of stuff. Jordan is in the house with a hello and happy Sunday, March 10th. Yeah, next week is St. Patrick's Day. So those of you of Irish, well, I guess everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, it'll be that'll be fun. We'll have to have a shamrock in here somehow, some way. Vic says, "Tinder does not like us heavier folks." Well, sometimes people can be kind of funny that way. But I always look at it this way. There's people out there for everybody. Doesn't matter what you look like, how big you are, how small you are, or what other idiosyncrasies you may have. It really doesn't matter. There is somebody out there for everyone. Abalash says, "Hi, Candace." Hello, Abalash. Good to see you. Let's see, 295 pounds and dropping. I bought NVO, a Novo Nordisk. Okay. And that's the thing. Vic, just keep in mind, it's not a marathon. Just do what you do. Weight will come off eventually. The thing is, and this is the beautiful thing, if you're exercising, even if it takes forever for the weight to fall off, the fact that you're exercising is going to increase your health quite a bit. Let's see. I'd nominate Candace for Best YouTuber Oscar. Okay, well, thank you. It's an honor just to be nominated. I'll take it. Jordan says, "It's Super Mario Day, Candace." Uh-oh, Super Mario. Nice. I remember back in the day, I had bought a Nintendo. I was going to give it to my brother for his birthday. So I was sitting there with it, and his birthday was still a ways off, and I was like, well, gosh, I should probably make sure it works. So I hooked it up to the TV and started playing Super Mario Brothers. So within a week, I had to buy another Nintendo for him because I was addicted. It was just, it was terrible. I should never have tried it. But as soon as I played the first, since I did the first couple of hops and the little music, I knew I was buying a second one. Abalash says NVO greater than the Denmark economy. And Jordan's there saying sort of like May the 4th be with you. Right, exactly, for those Star Wars fans. Yeah, good old May the 4th. Perfect. All right. Let's we're going to pull up our first news story, and this is one that's pretty much, I think everybody's probably heard of by now. But the Bank of Canada, they had their meeting this week, and they are holding that key interest rate nice and firmly steady at 5%. This is actually the fifth consecutive meeting that they have not raised their interest rate. And they also made it very clear in the way they talked that they thought it was too early to talk about cutting the rate. Now, that's interesting. Now, most analysts are still saying June. Well, they've all been changing their tunes. I've been saying June for a while, and I'm still firm on June. Now, here's the thing, and just to, because there's somebody out there, like there's probably at least one of you that's thinking, no, I think it's going to be May. It's not going to be May because we don't have a meeting in May. Basically, our next meeting is April 10th, and from what Tiff has said, I doubt there's any chance at all that there would be a rate cut on April 10th. So obviously we have none in May. So the next one after that is June. I think that's probably when we're going to see it. So June 5th. So look out for that. Put that on your calendar. June 5th, rate cut. Candace said so. If something weird happens and Tiff goes the other way, well, let me have it. Let me have it. I'm pretty confident on this one. An interesting thing, though, is that some of the private sector analysts are actually saying that the inflation that we're experiencing right now is not real inflation. It's actually more policy-driven inflation. And they're saying that things like the carbon taxes and our increased immigration, which is helping to keep the rents high, is what's contributing to a lot of that inflation. That if you remove those factors from the equation, it would almost look like we've got a deflationary period happening. So interesting to think about that. I don't know. I can see the point that they're making. The government with the carbon tax, for one, I mean, I'm for the planet. I believe in climate change. I believe we need to take care of the planet. However, I think we need to be a little more careful with how we slam in something like a carbon tax. I think that the current government went too much, too fast. And yes, you can make the argument that the world's in trouble. We need to do that. The reality is, though, if you're the only country doing it, it's not going to make a big difference. So we need it, but I think we just also need to sort of balance it with the economy a little bit better. So that's just kind of where I stand on the whole thing. The immigration, yeah, that's kind of that. I don't want to call it an evil because I have nothing against immigration. I was going to say a necessary evil, but it is a necessary thing that we need. Without it, we would have slipped into a recession because all of the people that we're bringing into the country, that is creating that GDP. So that's and our next story is going to kind of touch on that a little bit further. All right. 9 says, hopefully no cuts. I'm getting 5% on treasury bills. All right. So here's somebody who does not want any cuts. They are coming, probably June. So you've got a little bit longer to get in on some more. Now, keep in mind, any of these treasury bills that you get into now, or even if like you get into a GIC now, those rates are going to be guaranteed for the end. So it's not a situation where, you just won't be able to get any new ones at some good rates. Terry says, I'm finding Apple's Ajax AI to be fascinating. Love the recent drop. Am I naive, or is deep silence a typical trait of Apple ongoing game plan? In any event, I'm starting to buy Regime this week. Okay. Here's the interesting thing about Apple. Apple is one of these companies that they will not put a product out if it's not ready. So they won't have these big mistakes that happen. Like, for example, when Bard was first introduced by Google, it came out and it quoted a whole bunch, it provided a whole bunch of incorrect information. Apple's not going to let that happen. So yes, they do keep a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but there are leaks. If you dig deep enough, you'll find some of these leaks out there. What's been going on with Apple? Apple has been going heavy. Like, they've got the pedal to the metal on AI. They've been buying up a lot of AI companies. They've just been adding more and more really talented people to be working on this. So when they do release it, and people know, like right now, if you look at Siri's a joke. Siri is pretty much, Siri is basically the village idiot compared to all of the other AI options that are out there. So watch, and the big rumor is a lot of the Siri 2.0. So basically the AI, the AI version of Siri, they're thinking that's going to come out around the time of the next iPhone. And what'll happen is at that point, the software update will give the new Siri to everyone else. But and this is where Apple, maybe they're smart doing this. They're going to add a couple of really advanced features that can't be supported on the older stuff. So you'll want to upgrade to the latest iPhone to get a couple of them. But most of the really good stuff is going to be for everybody. So it's kind of a neat little thing to look at. But yeah, I think Apple's really got some interesting things on the go. So don't, even though you don't see what Apple's doing, it comes out. Apple is not, and this is the thing, Apple's not an innovator. Like, when I say innovator, I mean, they don't come up with new technology that often. What they do is they let other people invent the technology, and then they take it and they just reinvent it right. Hey, and for those of you who are Android fans, when I say right, I mean they just do it their Apple way. And there's definitely going to be, people who are into Android, maybe the Google phone. Do people still buy the Google phone? I'm not sure. I think all of it is going to be really, really interesting. And even the next iterations of Samsung, of Google, they're going to start looking really interesting. I can't wait till things like Alexa starts getting some AI put into her. I know that they did an update to her. I believe it was just before Christmas. And so she's a little bit more peppy. But I'm looking forward to seeing this all become even more mainstream with all of the things that we talk to and interact with every day. It's going to be very, very cool. All right. Abalash says, when will the GIC start to fall? In sync with the Fed decisions, or earlier or after their decisions to cut? It shouldn't fall before. It should, it's one of these things that it usually happens fairly soon, usually probably within a week of the first cut. You'll see some of these numbers start to come down. But you won't. And keep in mind, sort of look at it this way. This is the beautiful thing. If you watched how they moved when they went up, so if you know where it was, let's say they cut 25 basis points. If you know where it was at 475, that's probably where it's going to be when it goes back to 475. So if you've been paying attention to how fast it moved up, it's going to move pretty much that same fast going down. And plus, we're not going down as far as where we were. So interest rates, like, we'll be lucky on the other side of the cuts. We'll be lucky to get. I don't even think we'll get to 3, maybe 4, maybe 350 if things are really, really good with the numbers. But I don't think we're going to get back down to where we once were, to like pandemic levels. That's a thing of the past, unless we have something that causes us to want to go back there. Jordan says, Canada doesn't need to tax carbon. We contribute something like 0.3% of global carbon. China, Pakistan, Thailand, example, need to impose the carbon tax. They are responsible for over 15% each. Yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind, this is kind of where carbon tax is a little bit of a scam. A lot of bigger companies that produce all of this carbon, they're not going to cut back the carbon that they're producing. They're just going to buy these carbon credits. They'll buy it from people who aren't producing a lot, and that'll help money go into those other companies for sure. But it doesn't really help the whole situation. Now, what we really should be doing is looking at innovation, looking at, improving technology to produce naturally less carbon, where you're not being taxed on it, but you're basically creating better technology. And you could do that through incentive. There could be ways to create an incentive, or even if we are keeping this tax for a while, let's make sure some of that money in that tax is going into improving technology, so that way there we can reduce carbon that way. I think that would be kind of cool. Prairie says, Canada contributes a fraction of carbon compared to some other countries. Increased carbon tax in Canada may have little impact. No, and that's true. Right now, the amount that we will do. Now, you can argue, and this is, I think, where Canada, a lot of people in Canada probably argue, a lot of people in the government is saying that by Canada doing it, we're setting an example for others to follow suit. You could argue that, and that's fair. I say that's fair. I just think we need to be a little bit gentler with how we do it, but it's done. So we'll have to see what happens when we do get our next government. Because a lot of times, and this is nothing against the conservatives, but this happens to everybody. A lot of times the new government talks, or the new potential government talks a really big game, like I'm going to step back on this or I'm going to step back on that. And then they get in and they're like, okay, yeah, we're looking at it. We're looking into it. And they don't. So a lot of times that happens. So don't instantly assume that when Polyev and the conservatives get into power, that carbon tax is going away, or that they're going to cut the taxes. They may reduce some of these taxes. I don't think they're going to cut it completely, though. Now I could be wrong, and we'll have to see. But that's kind of my gut feeling on it. 9 agrees, not with what I just said, but with something else. And Sammer's in the house. Hello, Sammer. Always good to see you. Do GICs give you a fee if you withdraw early? Probably. You'd have to take a look at whoever's providing it to you and see what their terms are. But I think that there would definitely be a fee for an early withdrawal. So it's because they usually don't want you to do that. That's kind of part of the whole deal. Vic says, driving for rideshare, most riders advise to buy Nvidia. Roaring 20s, anyone? Didn't this happen with Shoe Shine Boys back in the 20s? Yes. Before the Depression, and this was the thing, before the Depression, they had a bull market like another when it comes to the market, and everybody knew how to get rich. And even back then, the shoe shine person would be giving you stock tips. Yeah, that did happen. Absolutely. I don't think we're heading into a depression though, but it is a funny parallel though. Because yeah, right now with Nvidia going crazy, everybody's like, oh yeah, Nvidia is the place to be. There's a few other stocks that are like that. And also Bitcoin's kind of getting in that position right now where everybody's getting very, very bullish. So, there's a lot to look at. Patricia's in the house with a good old hi. And Abalash says some GICs are non-redeemable. There we go. So like EQ banks, in other words, in that case there, you sign in for a year, you've got no choice. You're going to wait for that year. And guess what? New cup. This is the new Starbucks cup. Just a little Starbucks thing on it. But yeah, hey, Starbucks, I'm using your newer cup. You got more money from me. Sponsor me, please. This is very good. Okay. Patricia says, Nvidia is going crazy, but eventually it will die down. Yeah, I mean, eventually it's going to temper off somewhat, but also keep in mind too, if AI, and the AI explosion, we're only really at the beginning of it. And a lot of times, because we've seen so much change with AI, it's very easy to think, oh, this is done. We're done. We've got our chat GPTs, but it's not there yet. It's actually a much, much bigger explosion. We got ChatGPT 5. We got some of these new video AI. I mean, oh my God, there's so much still coming down the pipe, and we're kind of still in the opening act. So Nvidia, provided, now this is the danger for Nvidia is if, let's say somebody were to come along and create a chip that's better than what Nvidia is providing for AI, that would be an issue. So Nvidia has to stay on the ball that way. Now, the beautiful thing is Nvidia has a history of innovation and of modifying their chipsets to basically meet different needs. They did it, for example, for the crypto miners. They've now done it for AI, and they'll continue to do it. So I have no worries, let's just say, about Nvidia. Will we have corrections? Yeah, absolutely. They're healthy. But I think Nvidia is going to be strong for a while. Prairie says, let's see, withdrawing GIC early, too much a fee as one forfeits interest earned. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the dangers to it. Quite literally, the only reason you would want to withdraw a GIC early if they let you. So like, Abalash was saying that EQ doesn't. The only way you'd want to do it is if you absolutely had no other choice. If it's a situation like that's the only money that is there available and it's either that or starve, yeah, you want to do that, because once you've removed all the fees, once you pay all the fees and that, even if you found a better opportunity, the reality is though, let's say you had a 5% on it when you removed it, and you had a better opportunity that was going to give you maybe a 7 or 8% return. By the time you've paid those fees, and then moved it into the better opportunity, you may not be that far ahead to make it completely feasible. So just one of those things to sort of keep in mind. All right, here we go. Our next story, as I said, it sort of tied into the last one, and we had some jobs numbers. We had jobs numbers dropping. So basically, in February, Canada added 41,000 jobs. The strongest gains were actually in the services producing sectors, so things like food, restaurants, things like that picked up a lot of these new jobs. The unemployment rate, though, also went up, which is unusual. Normally, you don't have unemployment go up when you add a whole bunch of jobs, but unemployment did move up to 5.8%. It was 5.7% in January. Part of the whole reason for this is the high population growth. It's basically added a whole bunch of new consumers and workers at the same time to the economy. And this is why we're getting these big job gains while we still have unemployment sort of creeping up at the same time. Now, wages also continue to grow. And we actually had a situation where the average hourly wages were up 5% from a year ago. Now, it's a little better than January. January, they were up 5.3%, but the 5% is still high because I think the Bank of Canada wants to see that wage growth get at least under 4%. So right now we're still a little bit high, and that's another reason that we're not going to get a cut in April for that reason as well. There is still evidence from today's data that labor market conditions are loosening, which is good, but only very gradually and not in a way, like I said, that causes the Bank of Canada to want to cut rates. So just one of those things to keep in mind. All right. Vic says, y'all allergic to the like button? I love that. If not, please press to support. She'll never get an Oscar otherwise. There we go. There we go. Yeah, slam on that like button, turn it blue, all of that fun stuff. Just keep on slamming it. Well, you only have to hit it once. Once it's blue, we're good. Paul says the higher paying jobs are disappearing. Yes. So that is one of the issues as well with some of these jobs. When you look at numbers, like a lot of times it's a lot of jobs that are appearing are part-time jobs. So it's getting to a point where a lot of people to make ends meet are working multiple part-time jobs opposed to, the one full-time job that, used to be sort of the staple of employment. So definitely something to keep in mind. Color Stream Contracting says, what do you think about real estate in Calgary? I haven't thought a lot about real estate in Calgary, but what I will say is I think Alberta is one of these provinces where there's always a lot of work. And one of the interesting things with Calgary is we got a couple of issues. One of the plans is to take a lot of the downtown office buildings and actually convert some of them into housing for the simple reason that a lot of people are working from home now. There's a lot of vacant buildings in downtown Calgary that they can be used. And we're not talking like turning it into an apartment building. I think it's more or less like just it's sort of like a lower end housing, almost like an emergency housing. But I don't know a lot about that, so I won't go any too much deeper into that. But here's the thing. As long as oil starts picking up, and as long as oil, gas, minerals, as long as that sector is doing strong, there's always going to be a huge demand in Calgary, Edmonton as well. So Alberta and overall for people. And that is going to put a lot of pressure on real estate. So you will get to a point where vacancy levels will come down. And this is going to ebb and flow with, of course, the energy sector. Now, I have seen it. I seen it at one point. And this was way before the pandemic. The energy sector was booming. There was a massive demand for people and for jobs. And it got to the point that even places like McDonald's were having trouble hiring people. And they got into at one point in Alberta, and those of you who were there probably remember this, they had a bidding war. So it was like you could go and get a job at McDonald's for like $30 an hour in some places. It was crazy. So we'll have to see how this is all going to work out. But at the same time, look at it this way. If there is room for more vacancy, if there is room for more real estate in Alberta, you're going to have people move there just because it is a really good province. You also have less taxes. So, definitely a good province. I do like Alberta. Paul says, had first job interview in 35 years at Rona for a retirement job. Ooh, that must have been kind of scary. Hopefully that went well for you, Paul. Um, yeah. Vic, let's see. Paul, Canadian Tire is bad. Most folks there never knew, never knew. Should be anything, Vic. You can't use double negatives, my friend. Yeah, let's see. Canadian Tire. I think a lot of places, I can't even say Canadian Tire, but I think a lot of places you can go in and you can ask a lot of employees stuff and they really don't have a clue. And that's kind of the thing is when you're hiring minimum wage, a lot of times you don't put a lot of these stores don't put a lot of training in when it comes to, product knowledge, which is one of the nice things. Like if you have no product knowledge yourself, you're better off going to a smaller store, like a mom and pop store if they have it. So, let's say for example, a mom and pop paint store, because those people will actually know about their products and they'll have a much deeper product knowledge. And plus you are giving money back to the community. So that's not a bad thing as well. Vic says Home Depot managers make 6 figures. Holy banana bread. That's pretty good. Let's see. Paul says, I think it went well. I just don't have experience in customer facing work. Yeah, that can make sense. I think basically when it comes to customer facing work, um, they love to hear words like, yeah, I like to treat a customer like a neighbor, show them that I respect them, listen to them, all of that fun stuff. And managers love hearing that. They absolutely do. And let's see here. Paul says, I will find out March 15th, a yes or a no. Well, I hope you get it for your sake. Now, and here's the interesting thing. Like when it comes to retirement in Canada right now, we're in a situation where a lot of people who are retired just need that extra job just to survive. But there's the other group of seniors as well that are looking for work, not because they want to survive, but because they're bored. There's a lot like I've known some seniors, friends of the family and things like that, that went back to work. They didn't need the money at all. They didn't even care how much they were making. They just were bored. They just wanted to, get out there and interact with some people and stuff. So, there's both of those. I think nowadays it is more because, there's not a lot of money out there. I think the supports, I think OAS is too low. CPP, that's not a lot, especially depending on your work. Like if you have not worked a lot, like if you have a lot of gaps in your work history, your CPP can be pretty, it can be low. It can be pretty low. So, that's just one of those things to keep into mind. Now, here's the thing too, is sometimes it might make sense. Like if you have those gaps in your work history and you're heading towards 65, and you have a good job now, it might make sense to not retire at 65, right? Let's say if you at 65, you can go a couple more years, let's say you can do another 5 years at the salary that you're making now to sort of fill in those holes on the CPP. It might make sense. That's why always do the math, of course, but definitely it might make sense. Paul says, I also applied at Home Depot too. Haven't heard anything yet. Prairie says, I have too many retirement hobbies I want to get to. There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can definitely do. Start a YouTube channel there, Prairie. That would be something you could do, for example. It'd be a side hustle and, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. I think when I finally retire someday, I'm probably, I look at it this way. Like somebody asked me once, well, after you retire, what's going to happen with YouTube? I'm really like, I'll still be doing it. I just probably when I retire, it'll be like, maybe a video a week or something when I'm like 80, I'll be 80 talking about stuff once a week, maybe. It's hard to say. It really is. I mean, I like doing it. So right now that's not even on the horizon. So I'm okay with that. All right, let's get to our next story, and this is our title story, or is it? No, it isn't. The next story after this one is our title story. Whoops, that was my fault. So mineral slumps. So the government is looking to create some new pricing systems for minerals Basically, the aim is to remove volatility from the Canadian mineral market. So they want to lessen the impact of a production boom overseas, because every time we get a big production boom of, let's say, nickel or cobalt or maybe lithium, that can actually cause our mineral prices to plunge on this side of the ocean. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, Canada is home to 40% of basically the world's listed mining companies. But overseas, when they come down to the production of critical minerals, um, we get some surges over there. Basically, it's because of some of the forecasts on these things. If they forecast a mineral is going to do really well, they will sort of flood the market over there, and that, of course, hurts the Canadian market, especially when it's things like, well, like for example, we need minerals for batteries. Those tend to be one of those ones that are really impacted. So what we're looking at is the Canadian government is taking an eye on what the US does. So the US has a program. Basically, what it does is it estimates prices and predicts the supplies of, well, nickel, cobalt, and all those other critical minerals. And it's able to know where the prices are going. And it uses that to basically allow for better management of their resources. So if you can anticipate price swings and calculate what might be an appropriate value for a metal, well, that could give you basically in a formula to, well, to time your purchases or your sales of those metals in this case. So in Canada's case, we could sell them when it makes better sense. So that way there we can increase the amount of money that is coming in to the mining sector. So that makes sense. I like it. I kind of like that idea. Of course, I kind of do that for a living in a way, if you think about it, not with minerals, but with stocks. I'm kind of forecasting where things are going to go. So that's not a bad thing at all. Paul says, the Rona store manager said they prefer 55 plus people because they have more life experience. They said somebody started at age 62 and then recently celebrated his 80th birthday. That's awesome. That is awesome. Especially too, I mean, that's the thing. When you have older people, they're going to, better life experience. And plus, they're going to probably relate better to the customers. You don't have, like in a Rona store, you don't have a lot of kids coming in. You have a lot of, more or less older people tend to really, really frequent a store like that. And that makes sense to me. Absolutely makes sense. All right. Enid says, for me, social life, I am volunteering for City of Surrey, an active 55 plus community. So yeah, so those of you who are not familiar with Vancouver, Surrey is in the southern part of Vancouver, part of Greater Vancouver. At least they have a sky train and everything that goes down there, but that's fantastic. Sammer says, most people can't afford retirement and must work until 80 plus. It is sad. Absolutely. My mom's in that situation. She's, how old is my mom? I keep, it's like she tells me one time, she'll say 72, and then I'll say she's 72 for the next 2 years. So I think she's probably about 74 now. But she drives a school bus. So, but she loves doing it. So, and it's not that hard. She does love to drive. So that's what she does. Paul says, we afford current retirement, but there isn't extra money, extra stuff. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, Jackie's in here with some gold questions. If you were to purchase 1 ounce of gold or silver, where would you buy it to ensure it is legit? The Mint in Ottawa. All right. Great question. Great question. So the Canadian Mint is one definitely really good place that you could get your gold. You can also, you can buy it at Costco too, but I kind of was, and I think on the live stream on Wednesday, we were talking about that. With something like Costco, you could end up overpaying big time. But if there's a slump in the price, or if the price goes up really high, you could get it at a deal. But most cases, I would say definitely look at Canadian Mint. I do have a video as well on the channel on stuff, and I did have another place that I had mentioned as well, and I can't remember it off the top of my friggin' head for some reason. Jordan says I use TD Precious Metals. Yeah, that's not a bad idea as well. There's a lot of different things. Like, here's one of the things I do recommend is when you start looking for a place, Google it like crazy, check its whelp, check everything. You can never put too much effort into researching some of this stuff. But let me see if I can find the link here for that video for you. Give me a second here. I'm gonna pull it up. I have it in here somewhere. Precious metals, precious metals. It would help if I knew exactly when it was. But sometimes you never know. Sometimes you never know. And also make sure have a plan as well for storage if you're going to be, depending on how many that you plan to actually hold. Here it is. There we go. Just give me a second. I'm going to drop the link in here. So yeah, there's the link for the video, All My Precious Metals. And there is another company that I used in there as well. I'll find out let me find out what the name is. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Looks like it was Border Gold Corporation. So anyway, there is that in there. You got Jordan saying that he likes TD. There's also in the Discord as well. We do have a section on physical metal as well. So you can always go in there and ask people for some recommendations on places that you have enjoyed. So just something to keep in mind as well. All right, good old gold. But what I was saying about storage as well is just make sure you have a place to store it. Maybe invest in like a fireproof safe. Like, gold and silver probably not going to melt away, but the reason I would put them in a fireplace safe is if your house burnt down, it's easier to locate the safe than to dig through all of the rubble to find loose bars. But hopefully that never happens. All right. Paul says, I went to the dentist on Tuesday for cleaning, told the hygienist I don't have dental coverage. She only charged me 2 units of scaling. It was 113. Usually when I had a dental plan, it would charge 4 units. Okay, that's not too bad. Well, maybe because maybe I don't know if this is true or not. This is just me taking a guess, but maybe they charge a little bit more on the plan because it's not coming out of your pocket. I'm not sure. I would hope to think that they would be honest, but that's the first thing that popped into my mind when you said that. Jordan says, let's see, there's no taxes on precious metals, just the shipping. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's see, how do they deliver it? All right. Thanks, John Locke. Okay. I don't know what John said. I think maybe you hit the name Abalesh. All right. Jackie says, Resilver, I ordered it Monday, got it Wednesday via Canada Post with a signature. The cost of the 10 ounce included delivery. Okay. There we go. Nice. Good old delivery. All right. And now this is the story I wanted to get to because it's our top story for the day. Let me pull up the image here for you. All right, look at this image first of all, and tell me this is not a funny image. I cracked up when I came up with this concept for the thing, and so a great food heist. There we go. I'm just pull Jackie off here so you guys can see the whole image. So basically, a cargo truck in Ontario was hauling $70,000 worth of pistachios, and it was hijacked. Some criminals came along and stole the truck. It was not squirrels. The squirrels was just me being cute. But the funny thing is, this is a new trend in North America. There have been a lot of hijacked trucks that have been carrying everything from food, metal, and different goods, things that they can actually flip pretty easily. Now, cargo thefts in the US and Canada, they've jumped basically between 2022 and 2023, they've jumped about 59%. So that's huge. That's huge. They're stealing food like crazy. And they basically, of all of these thefts, over the past 5 years, food and beverages have made up 1/3 of all reported, cargo thefts, which is, I don't want to call it hilarious. It's like, wow. Now, apparently it's because food is really, really, really cheap to flip. And a lot of it makes it back. A lot of the times they take the food and they sell it back to grocery stores, which is ridiculous. But there's concern. Obviously, these food that's being sold back to grocery stores, uh, you don't have the same handling safety when it comes to storage guidelines. They're not being followed. So there could be some dangerous food. And because they're going through criminals, if somebody was just like, let's poison some of this food, it would be an easy way to get poison food into the food stream. So it's definitely a big concern right now in North America is what's been going on with all of this food theft. I also think inflation has certainly helped make food very, very viable. And it's also, like I said, it's almost impossible to catch the food because we don't have that same level of security that we would have with a lot of other things. You just don't have the same level of security. So it's really easy to happen and it's really easy to flip. So that's what criminals are doing. They're stealing food. So who knows? What can we do? All right, where was I at here? Back to the gold. Mary saying they do charge insurance more. All right. And it was for Jordan. Okay, that makes sense. There we go. Paul says, I guess it was close to 30 to 45 minutes. So instead of rounding up 3 units, they did 2 units. Okay, with the dentist. All right, Bismarcky says, if they still dyed them red, we could find the thieves. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, you see red people running around with paint on them. It's like, yeah, you guys stole something, didn't you? So, yeah, I guess dye packs in the food trucks now. That might be an interesting thing. But then again, it would also be kind of funny if somebody who's receiving it at the superstore or something opens up the truck and gets hit with the dye pack. That would be funny. Not really, but it kind of would be. Kendall says, once the word's out about a nut heist, not sure it'd be safe to try to sell them. Yeah, that's the thing. But I mean, here's the thing. Like this nut heist, the pistachios, it was near Waterloo. So, you steal the truck near Waterloo, you go and, sell it in Manitoba or something. Nobody's really thinking about, oh, could these be stolen Ontario nuts? People aren't thinking about it. It's just one of those things. But I think that's why I think it was in the news is the fact that, it adds a little bit more. People are aware of it a little bit more, and maybe it'll make it less viable coming down the road, or maybe we need some changes to the level of security we have on food. Jordan says, last thing about stacking metals, get a safe that mounts to your floor, preferably a cement floor, makes for difficult theft. There we go. I like that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of thieves, if they can't get into the safe, if it's small enough, they'll just carry it out with them and figure out how to get into it later. But Jordan's right. If you've got this thing actually cemented to your floor, you're fine. They're not going to carry that thing out, which is fantastic. Enid says, there's a high level of theft in all stores, not only foods and groceries. Oh, yeah. The amount of shoplifting that goes on is just absolutely crazy. I imagine right now that if you wanted, if you were trained and you wanted to be a floor walker, there's probably not a shortage of those jobs out there. Just to try to sort of pull in some of these food that's, going missing. Oh, it's terrible. Hello, Starbucks. Yeah, that is so good. And it also has a cover too, so I can put the cover on it. And that way there, it will keep it hot until the show starts. The only thing is, though, to drink it from the cover, it makes a slurping noise. And it's like, I can't do that on the air. So I have to take the cover off for that. But why not? V-Net's in the house with a hey. Terry says, it'd be interesting to get feedback on Royal Canadian Mint. Bought some in 2012-13. Thought I was buying numismatic collectibles, but no. Few coins hold value from their hold value opinions. When it comes to coins, that's where I would probably say it's kind of more of a hit or miss. A lot of these coins don't really retain a lot of value, or they don't really go up that much. You're just better off to buy bars, to be honest. If you're looking at it as an investment, I would just buy bars. I wouldn't really look at getting like, the collectible King Charles coin or something like that. I'd stick with the bars. then you don't need, then it's no muss and fuss. It's like, I got this amount of gold or this amount of silver. Simple as that. GID says, this isn't on topic, but do covered calls on an ETF holding US companies in CAD taxed with a 15% withholding tax, for example, ticker HTA? Okay. So yeah, if you have a Canadian ETF that is investing in American companies, yes, the withholding tax happens. It doesn't happen to you. It happens to that company. So I'll give you an example. Well, yeah, you have HTA there. So, so with HTA, for example, or if you go with the covered call version, I think HTAE, what ends up happening is, so let's say, well, we say one of the companies is, I think Nvidia is in there. Nvidia doesn't have a large dividend, but whatever dividend Nvidia would pay to to the managers of HTA, 15% of that's taken away. So they receive 15% less on all of the dividends paid into them. So what ends up happening is when you look at the dividend that you're getting back with HTA, or if you're going with a covered call version, the HTAE, you're not getting as much back as if, well, you're just simply not, because they don't have as much. They're losing that 15% to those American companies. So what is the solution to this? Well, one, live with it, because, you probably are still, if you look at what their yield is, and if you're happy with that yield, then it's not an issue for you. But if you are a maximist and you're like, I don't want to lose that 15%, you would have to find an equivalent American one, because if you had an equivalent American ETF that was giving you the same exposure, you could then put that into your RRSP and you would get everything back. So you wouldn't lose any withholding whatsoever. So for example, one good example that a lot of people use is VFV versus VOO. So VOO is pretty much the same as VFV, but it's the American version. So if you have VFV, yeah, you've lost a tiny bit, but you've lost it behind the scenes. But with VOO, you wouldn't lose anything as long as you put it in your RRSP. Now, if you had VOO and you put it in your TFSA, 15% gone. If you put it in your a non-registered account, 15% gone, but you can still try to get some of that back through tax crediting. But yeah, so you lose the 15%, but you don't see it. It happens. It doesn't even happen to you. It happens to the management team on that. And that's all taken into consideration too when they're writing covered calls, things like that. That money that's coming in, that a lot of the money that's coming in on those ETFs is on those premiums that are being for the options. So that premium money, you're not losing any of that. It's just the little bit of the dividend money that does come in through the American companies. 15% of that's taken by the good old IRS. All right. Paralovia says, darn time change, just got on lost track of time. Oh no. Yes, I know. Yeah, I hate the time change. I hate the time change. It's that one time a year that I think we all wish we lived in Saskatchewan. I believe it's Saskatchewan that doesn't change the time. So yeah. Well, at least there's the replay. And hopefully by next week you'll be back on to your regular thing. Holy banana bread. Jordan says, I've made the same mistake. Now I just buy the bullion, it actually retains its spot value. The collectibles just look pretty on display. There we go. Exactly with what I was saying. I knew Jordan would know. Jordan is very much into that. Jordan. Love Jordan. He's awesome. Enid, 11 people present here did not smash the like button. Uh-oh. You better watch out. Enid's got your name, folks. Better hit that button so she scratches you off the list. Paul says, Bitcoin at 69.4K USD. Sure hard for it to go above the 70K USD. It did get above there. It did slightly. We're going to talk a little bit about that in coming news here. And we got a super sticker. Good old Jackie has dropped us a super sticker. And once again, it is my coffee sticker. Hello. Woo. 3D coffee. Thank you, Jackie. That's another $4 going into the 0 to 100K challenge this month. So that is friggin' awesome. Paul says, I woke up to not knowing about time change. I guess we didn't pay attention to the news. Yeah. Well, luckily, I remember in the olden days, you had to go around and manually change all your times. So it used to suck. Like the microwave used to be off, the time was off by an hour for about, yeah, for at least 3 months after a time change. And then we fix it. And then 3 months later, another time change, it's off. So half the year it would always be at the wrong time. So, but now luckily, I don't think anything here, I don't think anything actually doesn't change itself. So that to me is fantastic. Everything changes. So very, very cool. Bismarcky. So we should have VOO in our RRSP instead of VFV. Well, if you're a maximist, yeah, VOO in your RRSP is going to give you a tiny bit more than VFV in your TFSA. So just putting that out there for you. So yes, but that is true. 3D coffee. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got ourselves another super sticker. It's a behind the scenes super sticker at $1.99. Another 199 going into, I'll round that up to $2. Going into the 0 to 100 TFSA challenge. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Paul says, yeah, just using my Google opinion. Really? You get Google opinion rewards? I have a lot of opinions. I wonder how much they pay. You probably have to do a lot of work, though, for those. But that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Paul. Always good to see. All right. Our next story. Let's get to it. It's taken us forever to get through the stories, but that is okay. All right. Invest in Canada. So a lot of Canadian business leaders, we're talking actually 90, they have asked the government to devise new rules for the pension funds to invest more in Canadian businesses. So they want more of that Canadian pension money to, well, stay in Canada. So, and here's the interesting thing. Back in 2005, it used to be that way. However, Canada lifted their foreign investment restrictions for pensions in 2005. And at that point, it's interesting, at that point, about 28% of the pension funds were in Canadian companies. After they lifted that, it went down to 4%. So it's kind of really, really interesting. Now, pension funds, they hold about a third of the country's institutional investing money, putting them up there. Basically, they hold as much money as most of the banks and major asset companies, asset management companies. And if they turned their taps on for Canadian companies, it would absolutely give the Canadian economy a shot in the arm. No doubt about it. Now, the pensions, they argue that if they have to or are forced to invest in Canadian companies, they're going to basically miss out on a lot of investment opportunities because the TSX doesn't keep up the same level of investment returns as the S&P 500. So that is their argument. I kind of understand both. So, it's nice to invest in Canada, and I think there are good in Canadian investments, but I don't like to see government sort of step in and say, you have to do this. So just one of those things to keep in mind. All right. And we got another, holy banana bread. We got another super sticker here from Terry. 279 super sticker. Well, thank you. Thank you, Terry. Holy banana bread. More money going into that 0 to 100K TFSA. Muggsy's in the house. Would you also hold those U.S. companies in your FHSA as well? Yes, you could. Or maybe. Let me get back to you on that. Like the FHSA does work like an RRSP, but the problem is that the RRSP is recognized as registered by the tax treaty with the US. And where the FHSA is brand new, I don't think it would be registered. I don't think it would be recognized, meaning that 15% would be removed. So I would say for now, your RRSP for sure, but I'm not 100% sure about the FHSA. Let me see. GID says, thank you for making sure I understand. So the 15% is charged on the small tech stock dividends to the ETF managers. Correct. It is not 15% off the yield, which comes from covered calls. Exactly. So when you see that amount that you're getting from the covered call, you're getting that amount. It's not being taken from that at all. And Prairie says, does the 15% withholding tax apply to CDRs as well as the Nvidia MER fees? So when you're looking at a CDR, So that there is a certificate of deposit receipt. That 15%, once again, that happens behind the scenes. So that would happen with the let's see, CIBC does a lot of these. So CIBC would lose 15% of the money coming back. So when you're doing it, so if you're investing in Nvidia and you look at the if you look at the dividends that you receive from your fraction, because basically CDR is basically a fraction because it's not the full same price. But if you actually did the math, you'd see that you're going to be a little bit less, and that's because of that 15%. So I'm not sure if CDRs have. I mean, they probably do have a little bit of a management expense ratio behind the scenes because it does cost money to administer it. Not a lot, though, because you're only looking at one company. It's not like you're actively managing as in like with an ETF. So there's probably some management expense ratio of some amount behind the scenes. And once again, you're not going to see that because that's all going to come out before you receive their dividends. Paul asks, let's see, Google Opinion app is about places to shop at. Did you buy something? What type of card did you use? Okay. Very, very cool. Kendall says, yeah, no, I'd rather pensions make smart investments, not political ones. Exactly. Exactly. It's like if I have a pension with somebody, I want that pension to make as much money as possible. So that way there's no danger to that pension. I don't want the government sticking it in and sort of saying, you guys got to take less money by going this route. Perlovia says, my MDA play worked out very well on Friday. I bought BlackBerry, not sure what ails me, but hopefully not fails me. Well, yeah, some of the changes with BlackBerry could actually make them more interesting in the future. Let's see. 9 says, pretty sure FHSA has 15% US withholding. I'm pretty sure too, because it is brand new. And I don't think it's just an easy thing of just sort of calling up the US and saying, hey, can you add this to it? So yeah, FHSA functions as a TFSA. It does function as a TFSA, but it has the tax saving benefit of an RRSP. So it's kind of like a hybrid, but I don't think it doesn't provide that one function of your RRSP, as in avoiding those withholding taxes. Okay, VFV versus VUN. I did not, John. I absolutely 100% forgot. Holy cow. All right, here we go. I am going to copy this right now. There we go. I just made a screenshot of your question. I will get this done for you, John. Absolutely. Or you know what? Reach out to me, John, on admin@mountainfinance.ca, and I will do it on that for you if you want. If you want to answer faster, I'll take a look at it either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll get back that information to you, because I should have definitely had that done. I am so sorry. Watch Canadian in a t-shirt posted today. Yes, Canadian in a t-shirt. Adrian over there, he did post about what he is investing in his FHSA today. I did see that. Yeah, and he has a fantastic channel. I do like Adrian at Canadian in a t-shirt. All right. Here we go. No day trading allowed in the FHSA. The FHSA, because it acts a lot like a RRSP, I don't think it would be as big of an issue as in a TFSA. But for now where it's new, I would say no. I would say don't do it until we have a chance to see whether or not it does work. But yeah, for now, no. I would say no. You can definitely day trade in your RRSP though. Nothing wrong with that at all. So it's actually interesting. Funny little story. I did do some day trading in my RRSP when it came to the Bitcoin ETFs. I did do a little bit of that in my RRSP. Made some money. I took it out as income only because I needed a new. Basically, my normal sound on my video. Not this one. This here is a separate mic. This is my desk mic for live streaming, but the mic I use on my camera, I've had a couple complaints about it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try to fix this up. So I did buy this thing today. that it's supposed to arrive today. Basically, it will allow me to record in digital sound, so it should improve and make my my sound even better on the regular video. So I'm looking forward to that. I should hopefully have that for the Tuesday video. So definitely looking forward to that. Oh, thank you, John. I appreciate all of you guys as well. Patricia says, I've been thinking of buying VUN. It's on my watch list. Yeah, I think I I just wish I had a chance to have looked at it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like it. I'm pretty sure, but I don't want to sort of come out definitively and sort of say it without actually going and doing the due diligence on it. Let's see. Terry says, bullion is one thing a customer pays a certain arbitrager, but Canadian Mint gouges heck out of peeps. Thanks both Candace and Jordan. Sticking with TD bullion on a very small scale. Thanks both of you. There we go. Paralovia says, big hype on silver lately. Have many of you been stacking? There we go. You guys are going to have to ask if you have been as stacking, as I'm not sure. All right, let's get to our next news story. This next news story is a little out of this world, folks. It's a little out of this world. Here we go. I was like, do I do this news story or do I just leave it alone? But I was like, nah, this is kind of fun. So a new story has dropped, and in 2023, we have had 507 official Canadian UAP reports. So UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Those are the things that used to be the UFOs. So on average, there have been 50 of them a month. Now, here's the interesting thing, though. In 2022, we had 768 official UAP sightings. So I don't know, maybe it's making it sound to me like even the aliens don't want to come to Canada with the high interest rates and inflation, maybe. But here's your fun thing. Top sightings was Quebec. They've seen more UFOs in Quebec than anywhere else, sorry, UAPs, than Ontario. Nova Scotia comes in third. So Quebec, Ontario, and Nova Scotia, if you want to see a UAP, that might be where you need to be. The least amount of UAPs were reported in Newfoundland. So Newfoundland, maybe not the best place to go to see a UAP. If you're looking for a city, and this amazes me, the number one city in Canada is Montreal. They had 42 reports. Toronto had 30. London had 18, Vancouver had 14, and then Halifax had 11. So that's really interesting. And of course, all of these official reports, they get looked at, and most of the time it's like, yeah, that's just an airplane, or that's the ISS, things like that, or that's a Starlink satellite. But of all of these reports, 6% are unexplained. No. There we go. I would hum the X-Files theme, but I have a feeling I'd get a copyright strike or something for it. So I'll leave that. I'll leave that one alone. So who knows? That's a thing. Has anybody here actually seen a UAP? Kind of curious. I saw one as a kid. I have no clue what it was, but it was a weird one. I was maybe 8 or 9 in Dartmouth, of course. I looked up in the sky and there was this thing. It looked like a comet. It absolutely looked like a comet. It was like a light and it had sort of swirls coming off of it. I showed it to my family and everything. And then me and a couple friends, we jumped on bikes and we just started following it. And it eventually stopped moving. And then the swirly stuff disappeared and it looked like a metallic ship. It was just sitting there and little landing things came out and it landed because it sunk down around the horizon. Now, where it landed probably, it would have been somewhere along the Dartmouth shore. And that was it. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe, no idea what it was. But here's the funny thing. The next morning on the news, they were going on about it because a whole bunch of people have seen all these UFO reports all over the place. Because I remember the guy on the news, he started it off by saying, my wife just cooked me a UFO this morning, an unidentified frying object. So I always remembered that joke. But yeah, that was my one UFO that, I've seen lights before, but I mean, most of them, I'm pretty sure they were Starlink or this or that. So that's my one UFO story. Anyway, hey, have any of you seen a UAP? Let me know. It's kind of to me, it's kind of fascinating. It's definitely. Now, Perlovia is like, Keep the UFOs in the east. Don't keep them out of the west. There we go. Prairie says, with the quality of camera and phones these days, I find it ironic that the videos of these UAPs are always blurry. I don't know. I've seen a lot of really bad pictures from people trying to take just pictures of their pets and things like that. It is really, you got to look at it this way too. If you see something in the sky and it's moving at a fast speed, one, these cameras are not the best in dark. So I can understand some of them, but yeah, with the amount that we have, you would expect to see a lot more video footage. So who knows? I mean, if I have to actually say what I think UAPs are, I think they're just experimental craft. The few that we can't explain. I think it's just like the U.S. is not going to be like, take the U.S. If you look at UFO reporting from the 70s, what did they people see? They used to always see the black triangles. Yeah, there's all these black triangles flying all over the place. People were then like, "Oh, you're crazy." Well, when the Gulf War came along, the U.S. then started using their stealth bombers, and we finally got to see what they were. And guess what they looked like? Black triangles. So I think in the 70s, it was experimental stealth bombers that a lot of people were seeing. So, the government's not going to tell us. Even these, even the all of the congressional hearings and stuff, the military is not going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, no, don't worry. Those are our top secret stuff. Don't worry about that." They're not going to. We may have a war or something 10 years from now, and we'll find something else. We'll find some new ship out there and you'll be like, "Oh, didn't people used to describe that as a UFO?" So just one of those things. No. So Perlovia, sorry. Jordan says Perlovia been stacking since 2010. The good old silver. Perlovia is as well, Jordan, remember at age 17 buying up silver dollars that would have been in the 70s. Yikes, I am old. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I remember people I think my grandmother used to collect quarters that had, anytime they put like a funny thing on the quarter, whether it be a centennial or things like that, and she thought they would go up into huge value, but they never really did. Usually with coin collecting, and actually one of our community members has a channel called the Coin Collector. Usually it's when they make mistakes. So they make a mistake on a coin, and there's a very few that actually make it into circulation. Those tend to be the ones that all the collectors want, and those are the ones that have a whole bunch of money involved if you have them and you want to sell them. Brian says, if you have any income at all, the tax man uses you as a punching bag if you are a senior. Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's really, really important to look at, making sure, for example, as a senior, your highest income stock should be in your TFSA, like your highest dividend stocks, because you don't want to be paying any kind of taxes on those at all. So it's going to be, always pay as little taxes as you can. But I mean, obviously, if your TFSA is full, then you're in a situation where you don't have a choice. But that's not a bad problem to have. It's a much better problem to have than if you're like at a point that you have to work at McDonald's, because that's the only way you can feed yourself. So yeah, if you're in a situation where your TFSA is full and you're paying taxes because you have to start using personal accounts, that's not a bad problem to have. It really isn't. Friggin's in the house saying aliens are very real. Look at Andrew. Do I need to say more? Okay, there we go. Aliens confirmed, folks. Aliens confirmed. That's funny. Good to see you, Freakin'. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. All right, we get another story. We the alien story was not our last story, by the way. Let's pull this up here. Cheap land. So a lot of places to encourage people to build are starting to look at coming up with some cheap land plots. But here's the thing. A lot of them come with conditions. So Cochrane, Ontario, they're offering land plots for $10 a plot. But as the buyer, you're responsible for developing the infrastructure on these unserviced lots and committing to actually doing that development. But if you do that and you get something built, they'll actually throw you in an additional bonus of some property tax relief. So, that's kind of interesting. Now, Brandon, in good old Brandon, Manitoba, there's actually, they only have one plot. They're offering it for $1. So 1 loonie, you can buy this plot. But here's the condition. You have to be a nonprofit government agency or a partnering agency to turn the site into an affordable housing unit for people who are experiencing homelessness or precarious housing situations. So definitely a whole bunch of things added to these. And it's not just, Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta, Mundare, Alberta, $1 plots. You have to obtain development permits. You have to begin construction within 1 year, and you have to complete the project within 1 year after. So you have that 1 year window to build. And according to the town, the goal was to allow commercial development for their downtown business district. So obviously it's going to be zoned in a business. So you have to basically build a business, maybe build a store or something like that. So that's just their incentive to get people in. And finally, McAdam, New Brunswick. So in good old McAdam, New Brunswick, they had 16 plots of land for $1 each. And basically, the only condition is that you build a house on it, because they were doing this in an effort to revive their population. Their population apparently got down to 1,250, and they were like, we want more people. So yeah, that's McAdam. Good old McAdam. I don't even know where McAdam is, to be honest. So Sandra B's just wanting to know about the Freegan stream. Yeah, the Freegan has himself a live stream he does on the weekends, usually Friday and Saturday nights. He has a very interesting cast of characters, one of them being Jordan, who is in here all the time. So Jordan's pretty awesome. Yeah, definitely cool. All right. Cheap land, it's worth it. Oops. And Kevin's in the house saying, always places where not many people want to live. Yeah, maybe. I've heard of a few, like I've heard some in the US as well, that are basically places that people don't want to actually live in. I believe at one point there was a lighthouse that you could buy it for like $1. But you had to move in it, and you had to do all of this work on it, and you weren't allowed to change anything because it was a historical site, and there was all kinds of interesting stuff. Yeah, so there we go. Freegan was on somebody else's panel last night. Kendall says, I agree, Perlovia. If you're not paying taxes, you probably have bigger problems. Absolutely. Whoops. Will you do a video on RRSP meltdown? Probably. I assume you're talking about when your RRSP gets converted into a RRIF. Is that what you were thinking about, 9? I think that's what you're thinking about. But if not, let me know, because otherwise I'll end up doing the wrong video. Sammer says, Perlovia, it is true. We are doing very well. All right. Now we got one last little area when it comes to news. That's the crypto corner. So what a week in crypto. What a week. So Bitcoin broke its November 2021 all-time high. So it was $68,789. And they got up on Tuesday. They set a new all-time high of $69,210. And then they fell. They fell big time. They fell back. They basically fell dramatically all the way down to $59,313. Now, this is normal, though, because a lot of people have sell orders already in at the all-time high. So Bitcoin hits it. They're like, yeah, I'm taking my profits. That happens. And a lot of those same people, I'll just put this out. A lot of those people who put in their sell orders at 68,789, they right away when it got down to 59, they were buying back in, so they're ready to do it again. Some of them, not all, but it's just one of those neat little ways that happens. Now, Bitcoin recovered really well from it. In fact, by Friday, it hit a new all-time high, $70,184. And then it fell a little bit, not as much as it did on the Tuesday. And it's been climbing ever since. And right now we're sitting at 69,414. So it's doing pretty darn well. I anticipate more new all-time highs this week. It's almost inevitable. So it's a good time if you're an investor in Bitcoin, you are having a very good time. So just a thing. Let's see. It's a strat where you withdraw RRSP earlier than 71. Okay, okay. Yeah, I can do a um I can do an RRSP video where we look at meltdown. We can also look at the RRIF, and we can also look at moving from RRSP into your TFSA to keep that flush, keep that full as you're getting new space going up. But yeah, we can definitely do a video like that. I would love to do that. And Sandra's talking about the crypto stream. So yes, we are going to do a crypto stream. I'm going to bring in some guests. I will know when it's going to be after the 18th. And the reason I say after the 18th is I'm still trying to get out of jury duty. So I'll know after the 18th what my schedule is going to look like. If I get sort of stuck into if I get stuck into a trial and I can't get out of jury duty, and I get sequestered with no internet access for 3 weeks, probably shouldn't have something planned then. But as soon as I have a date, I can then start securing the guests. But I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I know people like yourself are looking forward to it as well. So that's going to be kind of cool. All right. Now, with our crypto corner, we have a second story. So this has to do with Sam Altman. So Sam Altman, you guys probably all know of him as the OpenAI CEO. Well, he's also got a crypto side hustle. It's this thing called WorldCoin. So Spain has temporarily banned WorldCoin, basically saying that data protection regulators said it posed data security risks. So what is WorldCoin? WorldCoin, basically, it's this crypto coin. It uses an iris scanning orb to create a digital passport of users that the company says verifies people's humanness online. So basically, it's a coin that would be attached to your retinal scan. I don't know the full works and how many people are using it or if anyone's actually using it online yet. But it is an interesting project, and it does come from Sam Altman. So, but yeah, if you're in Spain, you can't use it right now because of this. I remember hearing about WorldCoin probably a year or more ago. Actually, I think I heard about it from Friggin initially. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting coin. It's an interesting concept, and we'll have to see how that goes and how that develops. But it could be very, very, very interesting. Friggin has the thought. Here's an interesting thought. When BTC pumps, Coinbase's servers go offline and they're custodian of the BTC ETF, a lot of manipulation going on. Yeah, part of the issue, when Bitcoin has hit its all-time highs, what's happened over on Coinbase is their servers have given people false information, like saying, oh, you have zero balance. People are like, what? Where's my Bitcoin? A lot of it is just that there has been so much volume that they weren't prepared for the amount of volume. Once they get their servers, they need to get their servers up to par. That should resolve itself. But for now, it's kind of embarrassing. But they have not. They have absolutely not failed to do really well. If you look at the coin stock, they have done absolutely phenomenal. All right. Global Government 2.0. There we go. Vic is back. Had to drive for a bit. All right. Nothing like a good old drive just to get things going. I actually saw a story yesterday about driving that I thought was funny. This is technically not our news, but I'll just throw it out there. But apparently in Ontario, there's a lot of shady people out there that will sell you driving certificates, basically saying that you've been through a driving school when you haven't. They'll sell it to you so that you can then get cheaper insurance. So I don't know. They did a thing. I think it was W4 or one of those, or Marketplace. I think did a little expose on them. But they're out there. There's people out there. I mean, obviously, I would rather people just go and take the training because heck, if you end up being a better driver on the other side, to me that makes a lot more sense. Sammer is, if it's not your key, it's not your coin. And a lot of people are that way. So one of the interesting things that we have seen is that a lot of the crypto that has been bought has been moved off exchanges. So when you hear crypto is being moved off exchanges, what that means is that people are buying the crypto and they're moving it to their hardware wallets. Whether it is, I was going to say Ledger, but I don't like to say Ledger anymore because they have had some security issues. But whatever hardware wallet that you're using, that's kind of what is happening. And there are a lot of people who are like, if it's not, if you don't own the keys, you technically don't own that crypto. And that is true. I think if you're holding a big amount of crypto, especially when it comes to like Bitcoin, you probably want to move it to a hardware wallet. It is 100% safer. But make sure that you are in a situation that you're not going to lose your keys, because we have had there's a lot of lost Bitcoin out there, so you want to be careful with that as well. But yeah, if it's not your keys, it technically is not your crypto. And in the case of the ETFs, of course, it's not your crypto. You're basically, the ETFs are buying the crypto, they're holding it, and they're selling you shares of it. So, it's kind of one of those neat little things. The other thing too about hardware wallets, in case you're unaware, a lot of the coins that you can stake, you can actually stake them from your hardware wallet. So, if you're holding a lot of crypto, there's no need, especially if you're planning to hold it for long term, there's really no need to keep it on an exchange. It doesn't hurt to look into a hardware wallet. Terry says, I and another person saw a strange formation of delta-shaped crafts in the sky, and they changed formation in a very rapid and strange pattern. It was in the year 2000. Yeah, there we go. And there's a lot of people have seen some of those triangular light-shaped patterns in the sky. I think there was a big thing called the Phoenix Lights. I believe that was kind of like in a similar vein. So not too shabby. Vic is got a good thumbs up for the RRSP meltdown. Yeah, smash the like button. Hit it. Let's turn it blue. Freaking says yes on a false transport certificates. Too very scary. Yeah, absolutely. And some of these people in the thing, like when they sort of approached one of the guys and asked about the pricing and everything, and then when they tried to back out of it, the guy got like absolutely aggressive with them. So it's like, yikes. It's like some of this stuff is pretty scary what people will do. Like, I mean, I recently got my license, but I took the full course. I took all the lessons. I took all the classes. And that I think I'm a better driver because of it. So yeah, definitely do the real thing. For sure. Vic says Nvidia and some others dropped Friday. Yes, I did see that. I saw Nvidia back below 900 again. Or back below 800. What were they at? I gotta look now. Now I have to look, Vic. I forget where they finished the day. 875, so back below 900. So they were down 5.55% on Friday. That's a pretty big drop. For sure. Let's see. Now, Perlovia, I love to dream. My latest dream. Want to hear it? Sure. Let's hear your dream. I'm okay. Oops, there we go. I should put the thing up. Before I read it, I'll put it up. I got to do that. Vic says 10% swing, if I recall. Yeah, there we go. Well, yeah, they were down 5.55%. So close to 10. Silver hits 50 by the end of the year. Okay, that's your dream. Okay, with silver, there you go. It could happen. Gold was pretty flat on. It's funny, actually, my chart. I don't have silver. I should add silver. So much you guys like silver. I'll do that. I'll add silver so I can see what the price of silver is. Vic says, just like your home, bank could call the mortgage. They won't, but could. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on. Like the bank right now, with the banks coming into a point where there is such a huge issue with the mortgages, all of these pandemic mortgages that are about to come up for renewal, they could basically play hardball and say, screw you all, we're going to foreclose if you can't make the payments. But they don't want to do that. For one, they can't do it. They, just the sheer amount of paperwork, it's beyond what they're even capable of doing. So that's why you're seeing some of these amortizations out to like insane amounts, because they're going to do everything possible to not foreclose on a whole bunch of houses. And of course, once the rates start coming down, that hopefully it'll help some people. It's not going to help everybody. There are people who got the pandemic rates, and that was the most they could even afford at that point. Those people are pretty much screwed when it comes to their rates. The banks will work with them the best they can, but in their situation, they're going to have to basically look at seeing the ways that they can increase their income just to make some of these payments, or else some people will absolutely lose houses. There's no way around it. But the banks don't want to have a massive flood. They want to pull it back the best they can. Let's see. 9 says BTCY is my crypto exposure. The yield is a nice bonus. Absolutely, it is. So with BTCY, that there one provides, it's roughly, I believe it's about an 8% dividend at this point in time. And that's fantastic. The one downside is because where it is covered calls is it doesn't, you do lose a little bit of the upside. So that's kind of what happens with covered calls, but it's still going up. You're still making money. Now, overall, if you were to go into something I'll just use BTCC.B, you would make probably a little bit more money total-wise by going by total return. But as 9 sort of points out, it's kind of nice to have that bonus coming in. Right now in our TFSA challenge, I have, that's what the one I'm using right now is BTCY, just because I got that dividend coming in and flowing in, and I think that's kind of cool. Not to say it'll be there forever, but for now, it'll certainly be there. By the way, the next 0 to 100K challenge is going to be our first rebalance episode. So we're going to be doing, that's going to be really, really cool. And we got a little bit of extra money in now that we got a few super stickers and such today. So that's fantastic. You guys all rock. You guys rock. Vancouver says, Kevin says, whales sold high are shaking weak hands at Nvidia again and will buy back in low. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. It does happen. I mean, when you hit particular psychological levels, so a lot of times a psychological level, so for Nvidia, 900 would have been a psychological level. 1,000 is a huge psychological level. Like you watch, when Nvidia gets to 1,000, you're going to have a pretty big sell-off. So you will get a correction at that point. So if you're, let's say you're playing it, not in your TFSA, because you can't day trade in your TFSA. But if you were holding Nvidia, for example, in a personal account and you hit 1,000, it's probably, and I'm going to say probably because sometimes things go wrong, but it should fall at 1,000, do a quick correction. So what I would personally do if I was playing that is I would probably sell it at 1,000, and even if it only dropped down to like 975, I would buy it back at 975. Now you can't do that in your TFSA because that would be day trading. So you basically have to wait 30 days in your TFSA before you rebuy it back. So just something to keep in mind. Freakin says, if you have 100 Bitcoin at current price, sell 90 of them and move in with life. There you go. Or move JN with life. Something like that. So move with, yeah, do that. Just do that. If you have that many Bitcoin, that'd be kind of cool. Vic says, should I buy Nvidia triple bill ETF? I'm not sure which ETF that is, but like for example, if let's say you are excited about Nvidia and you do want to get into it, the CDR for Nvidia, if you're holding it long term, it's not a bad option as well. Or if you're on Wealthsimple, you could always do fractional shares into Nvidia as well. So that's just a couple of options. Or there's a lot of different, almost every tech ETF that's out there is going to have a half decent exposure to Nvidia as well. So just one of those things to look at. And poor Vic sold MicroStrategy at 575. Didn't MicroStrategy get up to about 1,000? Yeah. Oh, there we go. It shot up past 1,300. Well, the thing about MicroStrategy is Michael Saylor has bought so much Bitcoin that before we had the spot ETFs, MicroStrategy was pretty much like a spot Bitcoin ETF because their price does ebb and flow with the price of Bitcoin really, really well. Let's see here. Terry says, McAdam is a sweet place in southern New Brunswick. Okay, very near the U.S. border. In the quote from RoboCop, I'd buy that for $1. There we go. Nice. Yeah, I did not know. I know where most of the towns are in New Brunswick. That was just one I'd never heard of. Vic says those pandemic rates were like 1.65 for 5 years. Yeah, they were really, really low. Now, in the US, because mortgages, you can take them out for like pretty much, you can get like 20-year mortgages. Some people did get pandemic level rates for like 20 years, things like that. But you don't have that in Canada, which is too bad. It would have been really good for people, at least here. Then you would have had 20 years to figure out what you're going to do and improve your situation so that you could afford those mortgages. So just something to keep in mind. Enid says there are tons of videos on YouTube with RRSP meltdown. Okay, well, there may be, but we'll do them the Mountain Finance way. We'll make it fun. We'll actually expand it beyond just RRSP meltdown. So keep that in mind. Candace, what was that other Bitcoin ticker you mentioned? BTCC.B. Basically, it is hedged to the American dollar. So that's the one I swing, and I swing it because it's hedged to the American dollar. So I don't have to worry about currency fluctuations. I only have to worry about what Bitcoin is doing. So it mirrors it so well. Now, there are other ETFs out there that you can get that have a lot lower fees. And of course, the American ones, like you take the ARK Invest one. It's got a 0 fee currently. So there's definitely some stuff out there. Yeah, exactly. BTCC.B. All right. And Vic says, I get a line of credit at a low rate to use for investing, but rates went to 7%. Yeah. And that makes it difficult to get in there because, with the market, with the bull market and all of that, it would have been hard to hit 7%. Not impossible. If you went with the Hammond stocks, for example, you would have really exceeded 7%. But nonetheless, yeah. Freakin says, instead here, 5% at 50-year mortgages. Yeah, I know. And Vic is enjoying a National Bank Direct Brokerage. Yes, that is the one I use as well. They have no trading fee, and they also let you set up a US account for free. So you are still paying like a conversion fee to move it over. But nonetheless, you're not paying like any kind of a monthly fee for that. Terry says, McAdam is a sweet, tiny town in southern New Brunswick. I already read that. Somehow. Terry, yeah, you tried to trick me. Make me say it again. Vic says, I'm hoping for October 2023 lows to buy back in. There we go. Terry, a bot? No, Terry's not a bot. Terry's been around for a long time. So Terry is not a bot. Unless he's like a cyborg. Maybe Terry's a cyborg, in which case I totally respect the banana bread right out of you, Terry. I love that. Perilovia says, silver threads and golden needles will mend this heart of mine. You all have a great trading week. Look forward to seeing you all on close this Wednesday. And remember, all smiles, less sorrow. Love it. Perfect. Yes, we will definitely see you on the Wednesday live stream. Bleak is in the house. Hello, Bleak. Good to join us. Good to see you. Vic says, I'm looking at SOXX, SMH, PSI, or PAW, XCHIP, XIT. There we go. Friggin is like, yeah, Terry is part of WorldCoin. That's it. Yeah, to log into the chats going forwards, folks, you have to scan your eyes with WorldCoin. We're gonna do that. That will be that would be actually really funny. But no, we won't do that to WorldCoin. Kevin says, what do you think the market will do this week? That's a really good choice. Good question. On the crypto side, I think Bitcoin's going to have. I think it's kind of interesting. I think Bitcoin's going to basically creep up, hit smaller all-time highs. So right now, like I said, right now we're at 70. What are we at here? 70,234. So we might get to maybe 70,500, 70,600. Then we'll have a little correction. It'll go sideways and then it will go up a little higher. I think we're going to see that. I don't think anything's going to move that big this week. I think it's going to be like little gains. But this is what I think, and I will absolutely be the first to say that Bitcoin has been surprising everybody. It has been outperforming what everybody thinks. So for all I know, it could zoot up to like 80 to 82,000. So that could happen. 80,000 though, if it hits 80,000, I think that will be the next big psychological level where we could see another bigger, maybe from 80,000, it might drop all the way down to like 70 and then start back up again. So just one of those things to keep in mind if you're playing it. Let's see. Vic says, HEQL anyone? It's like HEQT with 25% leverage. So leverage is good if you're okay with that risk. You want to make sure you're okay, because here's the thing with leverage. If you can lose, you can lose just as fast as you can gain. It's nice to gain bigger returns with that leverage, but just be careful with it. If you are that type of person, though, who gives into FUD or FOMO, then leverage is absolutely not something you want to touch. I definitely say be careful with it for sure. Kevin says we should all just get the chip implanted in our forehead or hand, wherever you prefer already. No, there we go. Well, Elon's working on that chip, so we'll have to see. Terry says, heck yes, RRSP meltdown episode. There we go. There we go. We get another one voting for the RRSP meltdown. Vic says, I want to invest in China. Will Trump increase tariffs? It's hard to say what's going to happen with this election. It's obvious now that we're going to get a rematch between Trump and Biden. I'm gonna watch and see what happens. From what I heard, and I have not seen it, so I'm telling you so take this with a grain of salt. I did hear that Biden actually had a very strong union address, whatever. So it'll be very interesting to see how this is all going to work out. Whoever wins, it will be. I think it'll be an entertaining campaign. We're going to have, it was kind of funny. Like, I was going to have this drink. Let's have this drink, and then I will tell you. Here we go. It's kind of funny because back during the pandemic, I used to watch a lot of Trump's interviews only because I just wanted to see what he was going to say next. It's like, oh, maybe you should inject bleach into your, like, what the heck? Some of the stuff was just absolutely out there. So I have a feeling that it'll be the same way. I think it'll be a very amusing election cycle. All right. And Vic is saying yes to the meltdown. Mary wants the meltdown. 9 wants Mr. Math in the meltdown video. Yes. All right. I will remember that. Mr. Math has to be in the meltdown video. Meltdown. 1.5 hour. Oh my God, we're at 1 hour, 42 minutes. Well, you know what? This is the thing. When you guys keep the questions coming, I lose track of time. So we end up going longer. So, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And also, I mean, we got a lot of people in here today. So I'm happy. I'm happy as a clam. And I think if you're not a maritimer, or at least live near the ocean, you might be like, why is a clam happy? You just have to think of what a clam looks like. It has that perpetual smile on its shell. Paralobia, I must share another dream. It's not Biden and Trump for president. Okay. Well, I mean, in an ideal world, there'd be that third option. But we'll have to see. Terry wants to know, how do I invest is SAAB Sweden? Good question. I've never really looked into the Swedish market, but I do want to do, and hopefully, because the channel members choose the last video of the year, or the month, hopefully this time around they will choose that international investment, because it keeps coming up and it keeps coming close. That would be a fun one to do. So you guys in the channel membership, you guys get that power. It's coming up pretty soon. So let's see, Vic, I'm getting huge cash infusion to offset FOMO of market run IPs. So there we go. And Muggsy's like, I definitely want that meltdown video. And Mary says, anyone use Wealthsimple Cash? Any problems finding your T5? I just learned they didn't mail them out. Can't find on phone app. I recall over on Discord, there was a conversation about that, and that somebody said that their T5s weren't coming out till the end of March. So you may have to wait till the end of March on that. Yes, yes, Vic. I have discovered that. Oh my God, did I? That's right, Lisa Marie. And I can't believe I called you Mary again. I have not called you Mary in months, but there we go. That is so funny. I am so sorry, Lisa. How did I do that? Vic says they just released them. There we go. CRA has my copy already. So maybe take a look at the CRA, because the CRA has a whole bunch of their the stuff that gets sent to them. So if they get it first, you could probably get it sooner. March 15th. Okay, there we go. I got an email from Wits, so Wealthsimple, about T5. Let's see. With things Trump say and believes, it bothers me that he has the loyal supporters that he has. Oh, okay. I think, and it's really interesting. Years ago, before it was even a thought of Trump being a president, there was an interview with him, and it was on one of the talk shows, and they said, "Oh, are you ever going to run for president?" And he was like, "No, never. That's not not something I have even remotely planned." And then the talk show host asked him, "Well, okay, well, if you did, what party would you run for?" He was like, "Oh, I'd run for the Republican Party because their diehard followers are easier to control." So I was just like, "Whoa!" And that's kind of what he did. Is he's been very transparent, but there are people out there that just they want to follow somebody and they just don't care about what they're saying or anything like that. It's like if you worship somebody to a certain extent, they can say anything and pretty much you're going to whitewash it away. So it's not a big, I think that's kind of what happens. Think of it as like a lower version, like don't think of it as a cult, but it's like kind of that same type of behavior in that sense. Let's see. Lisa says, "What do you mean, Vic? Are they mailing them? People on Blossom are saying you have to find them online." Now, yeah, like there's also, I know within Wealthsimple, within the settings, you can look up different tax things in there. So they would go there as well. They're also going to be obviously over on the CRA. So, log into the CRA and see what's there. Maybe they're there already. That would be very cool. I know all my National Bank ones are there already. Now, let's see. Wealthsimple says T5s are delivered electronically. There we go. You guys think Trump's going to win? Oh, I don't think he will. I think I just think that there's so much negative stuff with all of the lawsuits and everything. I'm gonna say that I don't think he'll win, but I still think it's gonna be amusing. So Kendall thinks he will win. Mary says nope. And Vic's like, Biden is 81 going on 93. There we go. So it's hard to say how it's all going to end up in the end. So we're coming up towards the end since we just mentioned that. So get in those last questions. We'll hit them up, and then we'll go from there. Perlovia says, Trump is an idiot bully, and Biden is just kind an old scary combo, especially running the power nation USA once was, and sadly we need them with power. Yeah, it's kind of that thing. Like Trump is getting pretty old as well. Keep this in mind. They're both up there. And I kind of mentioned it in a previous one of these that I kind of wouldn't mind seeing an upper age limit on, on running for office. But then at the same time, I really hate to be ageist, but when it comes to a position of that, there needs to be a lot of, there needs to be some rules put in. Like maybe everybody else, like you can have senators in the 80s and 90s, that's fine. But maybe for president, you need to have at least, I don't know. Just it feels like there should be, and I hate saying it because I don't want to be ageist, but I have a feeling that both of these guys are just a little bit too old. But if you remember back in the days of Ronald Reagan, there used to be a lot of jokes about his age as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's see. Kevin thinks Trump's gonna win. Vic says, "What an amazing country, but these are the two best." Let's see. Terry says, Sure, there are many meltdown videos, but they ain't. But they ain't none mountain finance. Duh. There we go. America deserves better. With our leader, do we have room to judge? There we go. There we go. Bismarck, better choice between those two. 9 says none of the meltdown videos have Mr. Math. There we go. That is true. That is true. Vic says there are no meltdowns by Mountain Finance. And Kevin says the system is rigged. There we go. There we go. The choices we are given are already bought and paid for. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there and that. So we'll have to sort of see. There we go. 9 says the CRA has the T5. So the T5, 9 has their T5 from Wealthsimple. There we go. Perfect. So there you go. Go over to the CRA and get your T5 and then get your taxes done. You guys are all good. Vancouver Isle guy. So Kevin says it's common knowledge now. Lisa says, oh, thank you. So Lisa can get her taxes done. Actaz, good to see you. Says, nice to see the likes match the viewers. Nice. Do we actually, I don't know how many likes we have, but there we go. You guys rock. That is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Vic says goodbye. And Prairie says a Polyev in 2024. Well, 2025. 2025. Right now, the Liberals are not going to leave anytime early. Now that they have lived up to the pharmacare that the NDP were waiting for. Yeah, he will definitely be. I would be absolutely surprised if he wasn't the next prime minister. Like it would. Sometimes things come along that surprise me really, really big time, and that would be one of them if he didn't make it. Jersky says, heck yeah, Prairie. There we go. Let's see. Terry is on Ank Spawn bot. Oh, Terry is an Ank Spawn bot. There we go. I guess confirmed Terry is a cyborg. We have now confirmed it. Prairie says, not without kicking and screaming. Kevin says, I'm still waiting to find someone who voted for someone who actually did better for the good of the people. The problem is, if you ever find a politician that absolutely has the people's best interests at heart, they'll never get voted. They'll never get the backing. They'll never get the money. You just can't succeed in politics, I think, if you're a good person, unfortunately. I mean, people seem to like Pierre Poilievre, for example, but he is a politician. I mean, see how people feel about him after, 2 terms. People at that point will be like, oh my God, we need to get rid of Poilievre. It always happens. It doesn't really matter who they are. I mean, you'll always have the diehards, like the diehard conservatives who will love him no matter what happens. So, we'll have to keep it in that consent, in that frame of mind, I guess. Vic says, can you examine another 5 years of, can you imagine another 5 years of Trudeau? No, I can't. All Prairie here, Paralovia says, and Vic says, Lincoln was good. Kennedy was good too. Well, there we go. But keep in mind, we're looking at them from history books, right? I don't know how many of us were around when Kennedy was president, or especially I can guarantee none of us were around when Lincoln was president. So people do tend to write when it comes to history. They do sometimes tend to really make somebody look good. But I'm sure Lincoln did a couple of stupid things that people didn't like, and I'm sure Kennedy did the same thing. Probably more Lincoln. Well, it depends. I don't know which of the two was in office the longest, because they were both assassinated. Let's see, exactly. So the system is rigged. Let's see, I'm sure people will turn on Pierre after a week. Well, there we go. There we go. Exactly. And yeah, both of those guys unfortunately met their time a bit early. Some YouTubers are saying, well, what are they saying, Jerry? What are they saying? Since then, they all go with the flow. Yeah, maybe it's like go with the flow, or or else. It's hard to say. I mean, I'd love to do politics, but I won't, for the simple reason that I I can't be deceptive enough to be into politics. I would have a like I probably would suck at Survivor as well, just to be honest. Um, let's see. Oh, some YouTubers are saying a big stock market crash on March 11th. Well, that's tomorrow. We'll find out if they're wrong. I don't see a big stock market crash on March 11th. Um, so I'm not too concerned about it, but let's take a look. There could maybe we'll have a red day tomorrow, but I don't think we're going to have a massive crash. I hope I'm right. Keep in mind the market can sometimes can do exactly the opposite of what I think, but I don't think that's a concern. We'll find out tomorrow, but I think the market's fine. Paul says it was T3 that said ready March 31st on Wealthsimple. Okay, so the T3 then. All right, there we go. That makes a bit more sense. All right. Well, look at it this way, guys. If we have this massive crash tomorrow that some YouTubers have been predicting, not this YouTuber, but some, we will have a lot of fun stuff to talk about on the Wednesday show. So that's going to be fantastic. And yes, looking forward to that RRSP meltdown. It's like I better get it on the schedule soon, just so you guys can be happy about that. Let's see here. Imagine a world where false info can be found on the internet. Uh-oh. You mean if it's on the internet, it isn't true? That's funny. Well, yeah, if we had a massive crash, imagine the buying opportunity. Like just imagine we have this big massive crash, everything goes down 25%. Yeah, pull, see if you got some money. See if you can get yourself some deals. But nope, I think we're safe. I think we're safe. Now Jerry, of course, is ready for this. We've already seen the skull and bones here, so, getting out the pirate ship, ready to steal up a couple of good stocks if it happens. Paralovia says, nope, Green Day tomorrow. It's okay to dream. There we go. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left. We're so close to 2 hours. I'm gonna can it. I'm gonna close this up at 2 hours. So if you got a last minute question, scoot it in right away, nice and fast. I'm also almost out of coffee too, so throw in your question, and then I'll tell you guys what's coming up on the channel. There we go. Coffee is now all gone. Yeah, exactly. Check for loose change in the couch. There we go. That might be a thing. Or, maybe cash in some of your crypto profits and buy some stuff. Definitely something. So coming up this week, we have on Tuesday, those of you who are channel members can see it tomorrow. We are going to look at we're going to look at some high income stocks. This is for the income focused group. It's going to be how to basically balance your portfolio so that you get paid in dividends every week. So it's every week. And it's funny, I had somebody had asked me to do that video, and then yesterday down in the States, Paul Hogue, he went and did the same video, but with American stocks. I was like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, so that's coming out. We got a live stream on Wednesday. And then our deep dive this week, well, I don't know what it is. You guys got to vote. I put the vote up today. It's on that community tab. Go on over, give us a vote. Let me know what we're going to deep dive on Friday. I can't wait. There we go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, keep in mind, guys, over on Discord, you do have the ability to, let's say you want to talk to, let's say Enid wants to ask me a direct question. Just direct message me. You can do that over there, or you can direct message each other. So there's all of that. Always, yeah, definitely do that. If it's something like, if you want to ask a question and you're like, oh, I don't want people to know that I have this stock and I want to ask about it. Well, yeah, no problem. No problem at all. All right. Terry says, you do the maths better than most. A meltdown could be colossal. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's because I have Mr. Math doing it for me, right? U.S. Fed meeting coming up. Yeah, all right. If Trudeau wins again, I'm leaving Canada. Okay. Thank you, Candace. Have banana bread in the oven. Must go later. Take care, Paralovia. We're gone in about 50 seconds, so we won't be that far behind you. Kendall is with you. Let's see. The market will stay afloat until the election, at least. Yeah, absolutely. Would cover call ETFs be on a T3, the different types of income? I am not sure if that's going to be on a T3 or not, but we'll take a look at that. It might be. It might be. I think most of it might be. It really depends on, once again, it depends on exactly what that fund is investing in. Is it funding in Canadian companies? Is it looking at American companies? Eligible incomes, ineligible incomes. So it really comes down to all of that. But I believe it's all reported on that one. But I could be wrong. I'll have to double check on that, Paul. Terry says, speaking of melt, have you ever eaten pan-fried smelt covered in flour and fried in butter? Yes, I have. I actually have. Being from the Maritimes, that's actually a thing we had a lot as a kid. Every so often we'd go out smelting, get some smelts, and that's how we would cook them. Let's see, Kendall, you're smart. Thank you. Also, dual citizen, so I can head south. Not bad. And Vancouver guy. So Kevin says, I was raised on that. And Moose Terry. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, everybody. We have hit the 2-hour mark. It is time to go away for now. We'll be back here again, of course, to do another live stream on Wednesday. I can't wait. It will be awesome. Until then, everybody.